Hi everybody, I'm going live. It's Deanne Fitzpatrick at Deanne Fitzpatrick Studio, and we're excited to be here today because we've got something really fun to show you. Angie Davis is here with me. Hey Angie.
Hi.
There she is. Yeah. And we are getting ready to show you Margaret McCall Coulter and Chris Vanderbosch Ballard are watching. So that's really nice. Cynthia Roberts and Julie Kostelny Lentz. Oh, this is good practice for me. Hi, Lise Lemieux. I'm going to pass it over to Angela, and we're going to show you what I'm working on. So we're going to flip it back, Angela, right there. There's a little camera, and you're going to flip it to me. All right. So welcome to Studio Live, Thursday Live with Deanne Fitzpatrick. I have been working all week, really, on tiny landscapes, mostly, and planning, and been working on my rug, and we are packing the orders for the tiny landscapes this week. Barb Carter, who works across the street and is my neighbor, her husband is making all the frames for us. So as the frames come in, we're shipping them. So if you haven't got yours yet, now we can't guarantee that we're going to be able to get them all to you in time for you to have them during the course, but we're trying our best, and we're just going to be shipping every day. So come over and meet Angie. This is Angie Davis.
Hello.
Angie works with me. How long have you been working here, Angie?
Gosh, it's over 2 years now.
It's over 2 years, yeah. We've known each other for a long, long time. And Angie works, she wanted to work like when I wasn't here. I don't know what that's about. But anyway, and I said, I don't really know if that's a good idea because like I ask you things. And then when COVID happened, she was working on her own. And so we don't see Angie that much anymore because Angie is our shipper. And so Angie comes in like at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning.
And I look after all of your kits and your courses and the rest of it. And yes, they are going out within the next couple of weeks. We started shipping them already. So all of you impatient ladies will get your stuff soon.
Yeah. So do we have lots of people watching now, Angela? We got a few people gathered together?
Yes, we have 169.
Awesome.
Wow.
That's great. That's good.
You're so popular.
There you go. I'll tell you, that's a good start. Anyway, I'm glad you're here. So Angie, so after COVID happened, you just kept working during those times. And I said, well, it is fine, really. It doesn't make any difference to me. So
No, it's nice. I come in every morning and the shop is empty and I look around and see if there's anything new, and then I get to spread out and do all your shipping. But it also gives me the opportunity to see all the new things that happen from day to day, and Deanne's always creating something different. So.
I'm always working on it.
Yeah.
So one of the things that happened was Angie and I talked about, I don't know, how did this come up?
We were talking about joint projects because I work a lot in my own studio and I do some dyeing for Deanne from time to time. And we both share a mutual love of artists and everything artistic. We love the creativity. We love bringing it out in other people. And one of our conversations revolved around how much we love people like Rousseau and Klimt, and a lot of our inspiration comes from people like that. And when you're especially stuck trying to find something new and creative to do, sometimes you go back to reference the classics, the artists that influenced you the most when you were younger or even today. And in our conversation, we came up with an inspiration series, an idea that we would do some yarns that are taken directly from the masters. So what I did, and with Deanne's help, we came up with a wide spectrum of styles and just different famous artists with different methods and techniques, and I pulled...
So let's go out here.
Sure.
We'll come out. This was the basket she brought me in as samples. You should show everybody that, Angela. And so, I know, isn't that beautiful?
Oh, and
So Angie, how long did it take you to dye all of this?
I started on a Tuesday. And time got really fuzzy for me for a little while, but it took about a week to get
Okay.
everything dried, and especially these days, things are so humid, it takes a while for the yarn to dye. And what I was doing was pulling at least 3 colors out of each of the paintings that we were using for inspiration.
So they're inspired by the works of great artists. All of
Exactly.
these yarns are inspired by the works of great artists. So this one, for example, is
Da Vinci.
Da Vinci.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you go through Da Vinci's work, you'll find that he had a real love for deep browns and blues and just shadow.
Gorgeous.
And of course, when Da Vinci was doing his thing, the color red is rarely used just simply because it was meant for royalty, much like the blues. And it was very expensive for an artist to make their own reds and their own blues, so they were used sparingly. And when you look at any of the older paintings by the masters, you'll find that the blues are usually mixed really, really subtly to just draw them out.
And so then you did Monet. Now I always get Monet and Monet. It's really confusing, isn't it?
Well,
Who's
Monet
who?
is a realist,
Yeah.
and the inspiration for this was the painting Olympia, which I loved as a
Oh,
child.
wow.
And the funny thing is about that particular painting, as a child, it
This is
took me
gorgeous.
forever to realize there was a cat on the bed of that painting. I never ever saw it. It just disappeared into the bed. But there is a cat on the end.
Is it on this picture?
Yeah, that's not the complete picture, I don't think, but that was the inspiration
beautiful.
for this.
I love this. And this one here is one of my favorite artists, and it's Rousseau. And if you want to, so I love this. This is deep and green and gold, and it's like things hidden. And his work always, I always feel like it's things hidden in the grass.
Yeah.
I've only seen his paintings once in real life, and I don't have a book by Rousseau. I better fix that.
Yeah, I was looking for
Yeah,
mine,
you
and I
said
couldn't
that.
find it. I could find Cézanne, I could find everything else but Rousseau. And then, like you say, with Rousseau, there's always that wonderful tropical foliage and things that you notice the second time you look. It's
Yeah.
You never see everything the first time you look.
Okay, what do we got here?
This is one of my favorites, Klimt. Gustav Klimt.
Oh, yeah, and some of these have a lot of gold in them and a lot of turquoise.
If
Yeah.
you look at the Kiss especially, there are so many colors in it, even though the gold sort of overtakes it. He loved color, and he was so eccentric. He knew exactly where to put it and
Right.
when to put it. And the Kiss is probably his most famous painting, but if you go through Gustav Klimt's repertoire, there's some incredible colors, really bright,
I
vibrant
can't
colors.
believe this whole thing. Now, this one is Degas.
Edouard Degas, yeah.
Degas?
And he was an amazing artist, very famous for his ballet series, ballet classes. It was fun pulling a few colors because everything's so ethereal in his paintings.
Yes.
They're just,
Yeah.
you can almost feel the tulle in the ballerina dresses.
Yeah.
So
And-
this would be a fun one to match with some of the swatches.
Yes, it would. Any of these,
Yeah.
will go great with the swatches. I love that ethereal. I always want to say ethereal quality that comes out in the yarn that you dyed. Now, this one you use a different base for.
This one
Is
is Seurat.
Seurat.
And Seurat had a method of painting that is a very, it's called pointillism.
Okay.
You're basically doing points to
Sort
get
of
your-
works with hooking.
Yeah, exactly. So what I did, because I wanted to convey the pointillism, I used a base called rag, which is almost a tweedy kind of yarn, and then I overdyed it.
Oh, look at that. Just, can you see that?
And it's so much fun because he has almost a tropical feel to these very traditional settings. He mixes
Beautiful, Angie.
fantasy. It's wonderful to play with.
So these yarns are all available on our website. They're under Studio Hand Dyed, and you can buy the whole set if you want. You can get one of each painter, but now we have 2 more painters.
Ooh,
Look at this one.
wow.
This one is Marc Chagall, and he's one of my favorites. His Jerusalem windows, the stained glass windows he did, are absolutely gorgeous. It was hard to pick just 3 colors.
Wow, and
But it's so much fun. And that deep, deep purpley blue, it took me a couple of tries to get it right.
Yeah.
But it came out just the way I wanted
You
it
are
to.
such a good artist.
Oh, thank you.
Really, you have
That
such
means a lot coming from you.
Yeah. And how do you say this? It's
This is
Liechtenstein?
Liechtenstein.
Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein.
Roy
Liechtenstein.
Lichtenstein.
Okay.
And
And he
he-
was kind of a pop artist.
Yeah, much like Andy Warhol and
Okay.
some of his stuff.
And
lot
he
of-
inspired you to do these.
Yeah, if you look at his work, a lot of it involves sort of that comic book.
Oh,
Pointillism
yeah,
kind
right.
of thing.
Yeah.
And what they would do is
Oh, I love these
overlay
colours.
the reds and the blacks and the grays to make pinks and oranges
Yeah.
and things. It generally was 3-colored. So it was really easy to pick out, you know, the gray and the red and the
Yeah.
yellow. And as I was dyeing them, of course, you can see how some of them turned pink.
Yeah.
Much like
The
what's in
flesh
here.
tones. Yeah.
So when you think of dyeing yarn for artists, it's almost like screen printing because you're overlaying the colors and you're coming up with different colors. And that's the whole point of Wickenstein. A lot of people really, really love his work.
So with a skein like this, I always tell people you can take the skein, divide it in half, divide it in half and save this. But then you can also take the other half and cut the yellow, cut the coral, cut the reddish, and then cut the gold, cut the gray if you want. So these skeins can really go a long, long way.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you'd like the individual colors, like Deanne
Yeah.
said, you know, you can easily separate them. Or if you're going for something that's maybe a little more free flowing,
Yeah.
it's kind of neat to see how they work out on a big piece. You know.
So if you want a whole set of Angie Davis's yarns, they are $124.95 for the whole set if you want one of each of these. And we've just posted them today, so get on there if you want a set. Angie, you've given us a nice little art lesson.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's been
They're
good.
some of my favorites.
Look
I
how
had a lot of
beautiful they
fun.
are. I know. I just feel like I just want to curl up with them. Like I know, you just want to love them. I can't really pick a favorite.
Well,
Do
it
you
just
have a
depends
favorite?
on your project. My favorite, I think, would have to be Monet. Monet
Oh
or Da
yeah,
Vinci.
that was Mary's favorite.
Even though it's
Greg, do you have a favorite?
I like them all.
Yeah.
She's so creative.
I like them
I
all
like
too.
the Liechtenstein
Yeah,
just because it's so bright.
yeah, it is bright and strong.
that means a
Time
lot
to
coming
die.
from you.
So this is what we've been up to this week in the studio besides getting ready for Tiny Landscapes. But you know, I think these, if you're taking the Tiny Landscapes course, these would be awesome.
I look at that
Yeah.
one as maybe along the same lines as the mussel shell that we do.
It
would
is
be
it is that
really, really
feeling,
nice.
but a totally different set of colors. Yeah. Yeah, you are really talented. I just
thank
love
you.
I love what you've done here. And I'm going to take all of these and I'm going to put them out so as soon as you walk in the studio, this is the first thing you see. Though we don't have as many visitors these days as we used to, but still, this is going to make a dramatic entrance.
And we
isn't
do
it?
love your comments. I answer some of the emails as well, so I get to see what you're thinking. We like having suggestions. We may add to this later, we might not, it just depends. But if you have a suggestion for something you might want to see, or somebody who's really influenced you, we always listen.
Yeah, we do. For sure we do. Is there any comments or any questions?
Oh, they're just, yeah, you should read the comments, Ange.
Oh,
You're getting a lot of praise.
well,
thank
Yeah.
well, no wonder
They're
she's
loving
getting
it.
a lot of praise.
Yep.
Not only is she a really good dyer, she is loyal and faithful
Aw.
and kind, endlessly kind.
And I have to stay my distance, so I can't even hug you.
No, I know, I'm really warm, but I'm not a big hugger.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm good. We're good.
I have an Angie Davis original on my wall,
Oh,
and
you
it's
do?
amazing. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's a little weird, but it's.
Well, I would say your artwork is it's kind of steampunk punky, edgy, dark. It's a little
It
dark.
can be pretty eclectic sometimes. It depends on where my focus is at the time. I've done some really calm, tranquil things, but as a general rule, I find when I'm fired up about something, I like just diving in and I like touching things. So anything I do is usually very tactile.
Yeah.
The way I look at it, if you don't want to touch it, then I haven't really
Oh,
accomplished
that's
my
true.
goal.
Yeah, you want to draw people in.
I love seeing kids come up and just
Well, I'm going to go in and hook for a bit. You're welcome to join me if you want, or what are you up to?
I'm probably going back to the studio to
Yeah.
finish up some dyeing.
Oh, yeah, you're doing a little bit of dyeing for a wool box. Yeah.
Oh, and Susan recommended the group of 7.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be an awesome.
And actually,
That would be like you'd have to do the individual artists from the group because that would be fun.
Remember we were talking about maybe doing something specifically Canadian?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
It would be kind of cool to take a group of artists like the group of 7
Yeah.
and have it as sort of the international
Yeah.
focus. You know, these are Canadian artists,
Yeah.
and to represent them would be wonderful.
Whereas the ones that inspired you for these were more international,
Yeah, I
internationally people from the 18th. A lot of impressionists.
Yeah, I'm kind of, my weakness is the impressionist.
Yeah.
My last trip to New York, when I was working for another company, involved a trip to the Modern.
Right.
And it was fall in New York, and if you've ever been in the Modern, it's all glass in the back,
Right.
so they have natural light. And I was there for an exhibit of Joan Mériot, but I'm not a huge fan. So I was kind of looking at the windows and wandering around, just really looking at the fall colors. And I turned around in one gallery, and all of Monet's Lily Pond was around me.
Yeah.
I had no idea that it was going to be there, and my knees literally gave out. The scale of it, the scope of it, the colors, it was one of the most magic moments of my life. You know, usually you have 3 or 4 moments that stick with you throughout your life.
Yeah.
That you just never forget.
Yeah.
That inspired some sort
Those
of
art
awe.
moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
was definitely one of mine.
Oh, good.
So the Impressionists have sort of a near and dear part of my heart.
We can feel it here.
Monet's garden.
I know. We can feel it here. Yeah, Monet's garden. Angie dyes Monet's garden for us all the time.
And Deanne and I looked at it when I brought it in, and it was immediately Monet's garden.
Yeah.
So I think I had some sort of weird name picked up.
I said, Angie, that's Monet's garden. I don't know, or you said it. I can't even remember. But
We were talking
Yeah.
about Monet.
Yeah.
But-
I don't know. I really feel like art has really influenced my rug hooking, and I just know that. Like every artist here, well, a few of them I'm not as familiar with, but probably I've looked at images of all of these artists, and you only aspire, right? You just work to, when someone makes really great work, you just work towards it, and you know what you're doing.
Well, I think
You know you're trying.
it
but
also
it's
fires that spark in you too.
Yeah,
And
to
if
be
it's
better,
like
to
any
do
of
better.
Your work, I'm sure, inspires and sparks your listening
hope so.
audience.
Yeah.
And the
That's the
fact
idea.
that you can share it and make it possible for other people is a great deal of what fires this lady and also myself. It's important that people know that they're enabled.
Yeah, there's a great book called "Steal Like an Artist" by Austin Kleon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think you can make yourself, you can disable yourself if you don't let other people influence you to some degree.
Mhm.
It's just really good to try and be original in
Yeah.
your efforts to do it, right? And
Definitely.
yeah.
And I think that for the most part, colors like these and combinations that you come up with by accident sometimes can fire and fuel new ideas, new projects, and new treasures.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
eventually everybody has that treasure
Yeah.
that they're proud of and that they want to share. And that's really what your space is all about.
I hope so. I hope so. It's just I caught my eye. One of those is kind of looking like that painting over there.
It is.
Actually, these colors are all fading into the painting. I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanna hook. I gotta hook. Whenever.
We'll see you, Deanne.
Thank you, Angie.
Thanks, Ange. These are
I
awesome.
appreciate you coming in.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
Anytime.
See you tomorrow,
And-
maybe.
Keep your feedback coming, ladies.
So now what I want to do is I'll tell you, whenever I'm around other artists, I always want to go home and hook. So this is what I'm doing. I think the closest palette that I would be on here would be the Monet, I think. So I'm just going to get that one and lay it down. I could have worked, if I had had this earlier, I could have worked this in to here. This is my palette today. So this is the Monet yarn, and I am really happy with my little chrysanthemums. Chrysanthemums. I have made chrysanthemums maybe 20 times over the last 30 years, maybe more. But these ones, I think I really made them. I think they're right. I know they're not right in color because this palette is specifically neutral, right? And I'm just feeling like this is, sometimes when you work with a lot of color, sometimes you just want to go neutral. So I am still working on the background of this one. Remember, if you can show this right here, Angela, right here. This was what I was working on last week, and I sort of took this really traditional pattern design, kind of like my mother would have used, and like a hit and miss kind of thing. And I went in and got like in between the shapes. Someone was also asking if this says anything. These are just letters. I just think that the whole language is hugely important to me, right? I write, and I'm a huge reader. I love to read, and these are the important things in language. So I didn't feel like I needed to say anything. I just wanted to get that across. And I was inspired by Jasper John's use of stencils for sure in this, and I just wanted to play with the whole idea of letters as figures, you know, as the figurative thing. So I'm just going to hook for a little bit, and I'm going to visit with you, and maybe Angela's going to tell me some of your comments, and if you have some questions, I'm happy to answer them. If you have questions about our new inspired series, the series that's inspired by painters, I'm happy to, Painters Works, I'm happy to answer your questions. Any thoughts, Angela? Any questions or comments?
I don't see any yet. They're loving the palette though, which is
Good.
fabulous.
What kinds of things are people saying about the palette, Angela?
They're actually also enjoying the conversation between both you and Angie.
Yeah, well,
And learning a lot about the artist too.
I know. I've learned a lot about the artist too, just looking at these. And you know, Rousseau is interesting because that's an artist. I came upon one of his paintings, I don't know, somewhere at some big gallery somewhere that I was visiting. And he's like this artist that I always forget about. You know, I forget how much I love his work, and then like I never buy the book or I never really study his work. So that's something I should probably do after we finish here today, is to get out and get one of Rousseau's, a book about Rousseau's painting, and have a look. I just love those things hiding in the grass and how beautiful. I know, they're just so beautiful. This is
What other creams are you using for the background?
So I'm using a lot of different creams. This is a yarn that we have on order. We don't have it in yet. It is incredibly soft. I don't even have it named yet. And I'm just waiting for that to come in to share with you. And we're just going to dye a bunch of it for you. So I can't tell you the name of that. This one is Fossil Cliffs. This is our studio pick, and I use this quite a bit. It's kind of, we're waiting for our big merino to come in, you guys. Our big merino is out of stock right now, so we're just waiting for the mill to make some more. But this is Highlander Grandie, and it's $14.95 a skein. It is not on our website because we have a thing called Studio Pick that you can buy on our website, and then we give you what's in the studio, and you can ask specifically for that one if you want. We just can't get everything on that website and keep it all stocked. It's just impossible. So this is Highlander Grandie, and it's a Peruvian wool. I'm using our European cream, of course, and I'm using tan sari, like our natural kind of sari, and a natural color sari. I'm also using an old cut up sweater. hook some of that for you. So this is a sweater. I've just cut it in a 1 inch, well, that's about a 3/4 inch piece. And I really like what it's doing in the midst of this. But I'm going to hook a little fossil cliffs for you. Is that what that one's called, Angela? It's fossil cliffs, right?
It is.
Yeah. So I'm going to hook a little fossil cliffs for you because look what fossil cliffs is doing in this rug. It's given it, like, it's taken that background and given it some depth. So I just love what's happening with it.
So what is the Fossil Cliffs?
It is a heritage yarn. It's our studio hand dyed, and it's called Fossil Cliffs. So that's what I'm doing today. Now remember, if you can, just remember to have a listen to our podcast. I've interviewed some interesting people on the podcast. I've interviewed Simone Elizabeth Saunders, who's just won the BMO National Award for a hooked rug. Rugs are art. It was an art prize, and Simone just won it. And I've interviewed her on our podcast a little while ago. I've also interviewed Carol Bishop Gwynn about writing an autobiography, and she wrote a book about the lives of Christopher and Mary Pratt, and it was a very interesting book. And so be sure to go listen to the podcast, Create Beauty Every Day, and if you can give us a review on there. Tell us what you think about it. It's on iTunes or Stitcher or anywhere that you listen to your podcasts. And I know people are asking some questions about Tiny Landscapes, Angela, and I think we should answer them. So for Tiny Landscapes, basically the course starts October 16th and it goes to the 30th. Everything is pre-recorded, except we are going to have a Facebook group where there, and on that Facebook group you can post your, that will be like, I guess that will be live because you can post your things as you get done. We do have lots of frames coming in and lots of Tiny Landscape packages, so you can still order them, but we can't guarantee after, I think it was the 13th or so, that we'll be able to get them for you in time for the course. But you know, you can use your own stash. If you just want to take the course, you can sign up just for the course, and it's all going to be there for you. So if you can't do it during those 2 weeks, or if you can't show up for the lesson when it goes on live, you can save it and do it as you want, whenever you want. I've been working on a lot of Tiny Landscapes, and when I take this rug off, probably today, because I don't think I can stand it on here anymore, I want to finish it, I'm going to get Angela to come and record another lesson for Tiny Landscapes. So far there's over 30 videos in Tiny Landscapes. So a lot of them are the rugs start to finish, completely from the very beginning to the end. So there's a lot of content on there, and right now I'm doing 14 activities for you to have over those 14 days. When Angela's not out there, nobody answers the phone. and that's what I'm doing. So I just really appreciate your support. We're probably getting towards the end of today, are we? Getting near the end?
We are 2:30.
Yeah, it's 2:30. That's what I thought. It's like I got a half-hour sensor. And I just appreciate your support, and I'm excited about Tiny Landscape. So you can, if you can't do it right at that week or whatever, you can always save it for the week after, or you know, you can keep it as long as you want. And but this is the only time it's going to be available. Like, you have to purchase it before, and then we may do it again next year, we may not, but it's not going to stay up there as a course that you can do any time, as a course that you can purchase anytime. So you can purchase it until October 15th. So that's it for me for today, and I just want to take you out here and show you these beautiful yarns once more and see how the Fossil Cliffs hooks up with the beige and gray. It's just perfect. Okay, so Angela's going to carry this, I think, and I'm just going to give you one more look at these beautiful yarns, and I'm going to tell you, call us. That's probably you calling right now to order yours. And that's it. That's it. Thanks a lot for being here with us, and thanks for watching. So glad you did.
These are amazing. Angie's amazing.
She is amazing.
They're beautiful.
Yeah. She's really a talented person. Hear the water running?
Greg's in there dying now.
Greg's in there
He's
dying now,
he's
yeah.
been inspired. All right. Bye, everybody.